Welcome to DashBoard. Is this episode 10?
It is.
This is X.
Holy moly. It's getting better every day. What's our target? 12? We think we're going to make it to 12 before we're burned out?
No.
I think we have a springtime break coming up soon.
Yes.
Whatever that is.
Yes.
Yeah. Spring solstice.
Dylan is escaping soon to someplace warm. I'm following in his footsteps a few days later.
Hopefully.
Fair enough.
Hopefully
So-
we're getting there.
Yeah.
Hopefully the storm doesn't roll in.
Fingers
And for those
crossed.
people who aren't in Canada, it just keeps on snowing.
Yes.
And it just doesn't stop. And it's becoming frustrating. It's probably the hardest winter we've had in 10 years. I don't know.
We've become very spoiled because I always lament about this too when it happens. It gets cold and then it melts and it rains, and that's miserable too. But it has been,
It's better than this.
it's been cold for a while.
And there's an interesting memory that's going to come up on my phone soon, Sean. You picked me up in your Boxster in like the second week of February last year. You could drive it for like 3 days.
Yeah.
You drove it for sure. You did.
That's right.
Because you had just got it and you were itching. You had the itis. It had a hold on you.
You're right. That was very early. And to your point then, that was reasonable enough weather I felt I could go out and not salty. So I did.
And I think you put like 300 kilometers in a day. You were pounding miles.
Yeah.
You were driving. I get it.
I remember
get
that.
it. It's a thing. You're going to want to get those miles when it's new.
Yeah, for sure.
The car's not coming out in February this year. So
No, definitely
No.
not.
for more than one reason.
I'll tell you what my hope
You'd
is.
be lucky to get it out in the end of March.
Exactly. My hope is that the weather management has decided that we're going to punish them all the way to the end of February, and then they're just going to be like, just let it just fade out. By the end of March, hopefully we're back to, I don't know, some clean pavement. You're looking at me suspiciously. Some clean pavement.
Wishful thinking.
Come on.
That'll be good content creation for after our summer solstice, spring solstice, whatever
Spring.
you call
Let's
it.
go with spring. Yeah, time change.
Yeah.
I'm going to start tonight's episode with an admission. When we talked about our car history last week, I have spent a great deal of time looking at 1998 Honda Civic hatchbacks. I'm monitoring all the Instagram accounts who buy and resell. I'm watching Auto Trader. I'm not committing to buying one, but
You're flirting with the idea.
I'm flirting.
Curiously looking.
It's a strong flirt.
Is
They're not
there
that expensive.
decent stuff out there yet?
No, I mean,
Yeah, what is the market on
there's
those?
There's tons, but you gotta buy it from one of those people that's like almost like a
You?
importer or like a tuner. Like I got like a shop. I have 10 Civics. They're like a specialist in those old cars. So I followed a bunch of those guys for my personal Instagram because I don't want my Porsche-based Instagram getting flooded with Honda Civics because the algorithms, they learn those things.
Sneaky.
Sure.
So yeah, anyway, there was one that I'm never going to profess to know the colors, but back in the 90s, they made like this like seafoam green Honda Civic hatchback that I would just die to have had when mine was black. And one sold recently for $13,000 US, and it was like immaculate, engine swapped, ready to go.
Okay.
It was a tuner based. Like that's exactly what I'd be looking for.
Makes a bit more sense. That's still quite a lot of money.
What are they?
Yeah,
what are they swapping?
They're swapping the Civic Type R engine from that generation, or the Integra Type R. So it'd be like a B16. So it takes it up from like a 1.5 liter to maybe a 1.8 liter, something like that. But it gets you into real VTEC and makes all the screaming noises.
all the lag.
Yeah,
I assume that
it sounds good.
at this
I'm ready.
point in the life cycle of that generation, we're looking at like an Arizona car, a California car. Like, I mean,
For
they've
sure.
rotted away. And
For sure.
Yeah.
The last one I saw in Canada was a couple of years ago. It was around $4,000 with an automatic transmission. I think it had 100,000 kilometers on it. It was looking pretty aged out, but for $4,000, you could have put some money in it. It didn't matter. Anyway, it's an admission. You heard it here first. If I end up posting about Hondas next to my Porsches, you'll understand why.
Shout out Speed Academy, guys from Hamilton-ish, and that's their jam. They'll hook you up with a Honda. Pete.
Yeah, I think I got to buy one in the States. I think it has to come from like
they find them
Yeah.
in the States and bring them back here.
Oh,
too.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay, that's
yeah.
good to know. I think I have to buy it from Arizona or California, as per your comments.
Yeah.
Let's see what everybody else has been looking at on Auto Trader. Who wants to go first? Because I guarantee I'm not alone.
Oh, you're not alone.
No, you're never alone.
I've got two things I want to shout out here, and one is a recurring theme, and I had a beautiful 957 Cayenne pop up on my many alerts in my inbox that we've discussed previously. I get all the alerts from all of the sites, and it's 2011, I think. Is that right? 2012.
Hold on, the black one you
2012.
shared us?
Yeah.
Yeah, 12. Yeah, so it's 958.1.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, it is. You're right.
Yeah.
My mistake.
Yeah.
The high points on this are it's a turbo, black, with 20,000 plus in original options that are I don't know what it was called, exclusive manufacturer back there. Anyway, whatever it was.
Yeah.
PCCBs, carbon interior package, some side skirts, sport designs that were $5,500 new.
Oh, I need to look at that again. I don't know if I
No,
saw that.
I don't think
Yeah,
I
no,
saw that.
the build sheet's on there. I should reference it. But in any event, it's got a reserve. So bidding has not been enthusiastic yet. It will probably pop in the last day, which is tomorrow.
Oh, I want to pay attention to that. Okay.
Yeah.
that's interesting.
42,000 miles. No, excuse
So
me.
low. Oh, no.
No, hold still.
Pause.
It is a 2012. So anyway, this is a 52,000 miles, excuse me.
I mean, it's still really
Yeah,
low.
that's
Yeah.
like nothing.
Yeah.
It is a gorgeous, it's got PDCC, it's got torque vectoring plus, it's got the whole, Burmester again. So, I mean, it basically
Yeah,
is every
but he
option.
spent all the money.
Correct. It was and it has gorgeous silver wheels.
Yeah, I think we should definitely share a picture of
We
that.
will do.
'Cause that thing's a beaut.
Yeah. Original MSRP in 2012. Anybody want to guess?
109.
Up.
149.
Up.
Oh,
Like
oh, it's a turbo. Sorry.
Hold on. Are we talking about Canadian dollars? US dollars?
US dollars, my
Oh
man.
my God, really?
Oh,
Yeah.
it's expensive.
Oh, 167.
153, 140.
Oh, I was not that far off.
No.
I would have won the prices right on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
That's still so much money.
That's a lot of money. Is it the original owner? No, I think it didn't say that. I think it said that the current owner had it like a year or something.
No, one owner car from
Oh,
Florida.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. It's such a nice
So I mean,
vehicle.
I think this is a close to $40,000 truck US, but I could be wrong. Certainly between 35 and 40. That'd be my guess.
I like it.
That's a steal if you can.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
I had a bit of
40
a
grand US?
Yeah. For a 958.1
turbo with low miles. It's so low.
all those extras.
Tough call. I don't know what the math
but
is.
I
It's a tough
bet you,
spot.
honestly, I bet you'd be. I mean, yeah, it's a different life down there for that long, but you'd be close to that for one here, if you can get it.
can you speak with my wife about the price being reasonable?
I'll
It is a badass truck, and as a 958 owner, what I love about that is it has the turbo front bumper, and it's that little the turbo front bumper just looks so good. They widen out that air dam.
Yep.
It just looks amazing.
It is a
truck
lovely.
is so
yeah, you
nice.
really see them on the white ones.
Yeah, for
Makes
sure.
a big difference.
Big
is a-
gaping hole.
It is a lovely thing. If you look to see who the current top bidder is, you'll see my name. But
Oh man, I didn't know that. Now I really want to look at it.
I mean, it's not even like half price yet, so
Okay.
don't worry, I won't be.
But it ends tomorrow.
Yeah. But again, you know how these things go. When there's a reserve on,
Yeah.
nothing happens until the last 25 minutes. So
Yeah, fair enough. And then it keeps happening in 2-minute increments.
yeah.
Right.
One other quick shout out on, I think this falls, well, actually more into the $150,000 camp than it does in the $50,000 camp. But what came up today, in fact, was a 987 Cayman R, which is in speed, I assume speed yellow. It doesn't actually say that. It says yellow.
I think it would be
It
speed
looked
yellow
like
from
it.
that generation.
Yeah, it looked
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it.
yeah.
It is speed yellow, yes. It has carbon buckets, painted interior package, so the center console is yellow. Stick, 18,000 miles.
It's a stick.
Black wheels and the stickers. And this is the only Cayman R I've ever seen in yellow, period.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you don't see these cars come up very often at all. Low miles like this. I mean, the gentleman wants $85,000 US, which is a lot of money, but I think that's actually kind of where the market is on them. So
Just remind me, is that on an auction or it's a sale?
this is on the Mart,
the
which
Mart.
is
Yeah,
PCA's.
okay. Yeah. And I feel at this moment I have to say that the bucket seats, the dire, everybody wants folding bucket seats. That's when they looked good.
Right.
They don't look like those bizarro Audi RS6 odd new folding from the
I
992.
don't really mind them.
Oh, I can't
know you
stand
guys
them. They're
hate
just
them.
I
awful.
don't mind them either.
Oh, they're awful.
They offend me as well.
It's like they wrapped a whole bunch of like you got to cover this all in leather and it doesn't matter how it fits, just get it together. I can't do it, man.
No.
It's an open wound. I don't like it. I
Yeah.
think it takes away from the car.
Yeah, we got a bunch of good options for 150 that people kicked in.
Oh, from the responses to
Yeah. We obviously we left out the 911 turbo.
True.
We're talking about last week's 150.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
we jumped. Okay, we jumped. My
Yeah, we
brain
did a
doesn't
little
keep
bit.
up. Sorry.
Yeah. Which we tried to stay away from Porsches.
We
I
did.
think
We did, yeah.
consciously.
We're talking about weekend car at 150.
Yeah.
Or less.
Or less.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, tell us some of the
obviously,
stuff that people gave you.
911 turbo was one.
Yeah.
You can get in the Ferrari land for that, which was definitely true.
But we think it's only a 360 motor now. We don't think you
Yeah.
could get a 430 in there. I don't imagine. I don't know that.
I don't think so either.
Okay.
Canadian dollars, no.
No, Canadian dollar's tough.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Just
about
doesn't go that far anymore, does
no,
it? Yeah.
literally
Yeah,
half.
Yeah.
And then Dodge Vipers.
that. Oh,
Oh,
No, I never even crossed my mind.
I would have no idea where those values are. I'm guessing they're lower,
90?
lower than you'd think.
I bet you they're in the 90s.
But it depends, because if you're looking for like anything from like 16 forward, they're a lot of money still.
Are they?
'Cause they're pretty desirable.
Yeah, sorry, I meant
You'd have
like,
to be an older,
I
like a
thought in
Gen
the
2
10s,
maybe,
yeah.
or okay, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the reliability like on a Viper? I don't know that.
I don't know.
I'm sure they have their electrical gremlins.
I don't know. Yeah.
Mechanically speaking, there's not a whole hell of a lot to go wrong, is there?
I just remember that Top Gear clip when he's like, you look at the panel gap back here. And he's like putting his fingers between the gap between the trunk and the fender. And it was like the size of a finger.
Do you guys remember it was a Dodge pickup truck called the SRT10? Which,
we were just
We discussed
talking
it
about
before the
you got
pod.
here.
Oh,
we
sorry.
discussed it.
was it?
You were late, man.
Yeah, I was. were you talking about the video where one left a Cars and Coffee and smashed into a curb and split
I
two
just
wheels
saw
off?
that, yeah.
Woo. Oh, it's a black one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I try not to watch those because then my phone learns that somehow
You like
thinks
that.
I'm interested in that, and I'm just not.
Yeah,
You know?
it is a problem. But
I
yeah,
did see it, though.
I when you mentioned the Viper and that, I remember. I think I was in high school when those came out, and that was like an object of the whole. As Mike mentioned about his S10, I mean, still then the short cab, short box pickup truck was just about as good as you can do, and one with a V10 and a 6-speed was like on another level.
Yeah, I think that was the first truck too that had a spoiler.
Yes, that's
I
probably true.
love those when they came out. They were so cool. That reminds
were
me of an
cool.
important question, Mike. That picture that you posted of all of our sort of historical cars, was that your actual S10?
it was not, but it was very
Okay, I
close. It
wondered.
was very,
Okay.
very close.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And will the same be said about that Monte Carlo?
Monte Carlo was exact.
Is that right?
That's your
Yeah.
car?
Well, it's not mine.
Oh,
but
not
it's,
yours. Okay.
It's that color.
I had no idea what that car was
Yeah.
until he posted a photo. I'm like, oh, that's a Monte Carlo?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wouldn't have even known. It sort of looks like a Buick Grand
It's
National-ish.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Or whatever
What I-
that car's called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I didn't say was at one point, briefly, I had two of them. I had an 83, the blue one, and then I had an 84, which was white with blue stripes.
Is that right? I like
yeah.
that.
Oh, I kind of like the white with blue.
Yeah.
This guy was running amok.
Oh, yeah,
Imagine
yeah,
all the
yeah.
ladies. They
Oh,
were like,
oh,
this
yeah.
guy's got two
You get to
Monties?
stick with them.
Batting them off.
Good lord.
Two Monties.
Yeah.
That's something.
So when I was young and had nothing better to do and lots of money, just flipping
Sure.
stuff. So.
Which one did you sell first?
The white one.
Really?
Yeah. It just wasn't in as good shape, and the other one was low miles. And
Those
it
cars
was
would have had a
perfect.
V8, you said?
Oh, yeah. 305.
Oh,
but-
small
Yeah,
V8.
not much horsepower.
Yeah.
Right. Pumping out a nice 183.
Yeah, probably something like
Yeah,
that.
but making all the noise.
Yeah.
Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
What did you come across this weekend apart from the Hondas? Anything interesting?
Just the one car that I saw in person this week, the silver, what would be a 2017 silver, GT Silver, maybe, 911 Turbo. The one that's at our local Porsche
Yes.
store here.
Lovely car.
Ah, my goodness, it's really something. It's, I don't know who would expect it, but I think I posted on my story that I thought those cars were like super underappreciated in 2017. I just don't think anybody cared.
Yep.
We were all moving on to 991.2 GT3s that were rolling in, and someone spec'd this one like out to the nines. I'm not going to profess to know all the options, but the dark red leather interior, the silver on the exterior, all the black painted lip kit, spoiler, center lock wheels. It's not a Turbo S, but I still a car from that generation is going to be 540 something horsepower. I mean, it's a lot of power.
Yeah,
and the car's beautiful.
If that's really that important to you, it's probably a $2,500 tune away from a Turbo S too. It's
Yeah,
not
maybe.
like-
Yeah, maybe. Those center lock kind of twisty looking wheels.
Yeah,
The
they look
car is
good.
amazing. 10,000 kilometers from 8-year-old car. I mean, that's like, you didn't use it much.
No. Well, interesting. You mentioned the 911 Turbo, which you're right. We did try and stay away from Porsches as a general rule, but for whatever reason, I don't think of a Turbo so much as a weekend car as I do like a daily driver. But obviously, whoever owned that one didn't daily drive it.
I would
at
say
all.
that I fall exactly the same as that. I don't think of it like a weekend sports car, but this one, spec-wise, is
Why
like...
is that? Why do
I
you
don't
guys-
know why that is, to be honest. Probably because it's four-wheel drive. It's only available as a PDK. There's like a bunch of things that sort of play in my mind about it.
It's like a Swiss Army knife.
but
It
you
does
think
it
that,
all.
Like, would the GTS be a weekend car, do you think?
Yes, that's funny. I would think the GTS would be more of a weekend car. I don't know why I think that, but my gut tells me that quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. A friend of ours drove a 2018 911 Turbo daily for 4 or 5 years, put 44,000 kilometers on it, drove it all the time, drove it in the middle of the winter. I mean, honestly, it's pretty badass.
Yeah.
Well, would that model though be more convertible than coupe?
I don't know that.
I feel like the 911 turbos are almost always convertible.
There are a lot of cabs.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, we I didn't think of this when you saw it, and I actually saw that car on the weekend too.
So good. We'll post a photo of it. We'll share a picture.
But,
it's so good.
But Magnus Walker recently also posted that his, people ask me all the time, what is my quote daily driver? It's basically that car. And it has almost 200,000 miles on it.
Like the same generation, like a 99. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Silver.
Yeah. Okay. I can't keep track of all the cars he owns.
They are beautiful.
Honestly, I'm not really. I can imagine if I was walking through a dealer that year, I would have literally walked by that and just been like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Next. Where's the
Well,
GT3?
it's not a showy car by any
No,
means. It's not flashy.
It's those center lock wheels and stuff, though. It looks so good.
Yeah, super clean.
Yeah.
Has your opinion shifted slightly on, we're talking about turbos now, the Turbo
Yeah.
50th?
Shifted slightly. Like,
I know.
Where did I land before?
I don't remember. Some of us in this room had lukewarm feelings on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting older. I'm aware of it. The plaid thing on that particular car, the 50, I'm not really into that much. But I just think that the turbos are like so amazingly fast. And I'm not into the sticker kit. None of that stuff interests me,
No.
but that wheel package and stuff, I just think it's a cool looking maybe package. I saw one in person in GT Silver with a kind of dark green, maybe it's a dark green or dark gray wheel package.
Yep.
The color that's exclusive to the car. It looks amazing.
Yeah.
It was actually the first time I ever thought, ooh, that's a really good looking car. And then that green one came in and you're like,
Oh.
yeah. That thing is
That's a beauty.
beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I remember, I think it was launched at Car Week last fall. Or anyway, whenever it was, and I was kind of like, that's really not that interesting. But yeah, seeing one now, that car in particular had probably a $5,000 luggage bag that matched the interior on the front seat.
Oh, is that all? That seems cheap.
Right.
Yeah.
Very attractive
Yeah.
bag.
Couple.
And then in the back seat, it looked to have a pair of the Turbo 50 Puma shoes.
Oh, come on.
Oh.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
The
Did
guy's
you see
got
the
it all.
watch beside it?
I'm sure it's there too, but no, I didn't.
Yeah, but they only you have to buy the watch to buy the car kind of
Right.
thing. You know how it
Yeah.
goes, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if my opinion's shifted, but I still think that I think it's going to be weird because like how do you follow up the current turbo car or the Turbo S? Like it's such an insane car already.
Yeah, they're
You know? And we all discussed it briefly this week that we saw the GTS, the new GTS 911 GTS reviews were starting to roll in and they seem lukewarm.
They do seem lukewarm.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is a shock because they're not usually that way.
Well, I think the math would tell you that that's like their most popular model for the past many years, right? It's the one that the enthusiast wants that can't buy a GT3 or you can get it with a PDK, get it with a manual. Once they wipe that out, I think it's realistic to expect a drop in sales. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
No one wants to buy the complicated car,
No.
right? Especially for the weekend thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, this connects to a subject we got asked about, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 weeks ago. We haven't discussed it yet, but we had a lot of people when we posted a question about what we should talk about. We had a lot of people ask us about the Porsche allocation system. So we're going to go a little Porsche heavy here because we obviously love that product line, but we're going to get into it. This is a long and complicated subject. I welcome anybody to start, or are we throwing me under that bus?
I think you're up.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. I don't know. It's a long, there's a long version of this, right? I think me included, I think a lot of people think that you can just sort of arrive to a Porsche dealer and you're like, okay, I've got the money saved up. I can just buy this car. Again, me included in 2015, tried that. I tried to buy I wrote this in the article for the PCA magazine, but the thing that inspired me to buy the 981 Cayman, I mean, I loved them anyway, but once Chris Harris did that video at Portimao with the blue 981 GT4, sapphire blue,
Yep.
beautiful, I would say 100% convinced I needed to buy that car. So I promptly jogged on down to the Porsche dealer. I didn't live near any of them, so I went to 3 and said, I'd like to buy this car. And in a very pleasant way, I was sort of laughed out the door. And I remember one of the guys, I don't remember his name, but one of the reps literally said to me like, oh man, quote, the people that are getting that car ordered it like 5 years ago. And I was like, yeah.
That's wild to think about, like when
It
you're
was.
not in that mindset.
Oh, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, it
You're
was
like,
really
wait a minute,
weird.
what?
Yeah, so he made a comment like that, and I think I literally responded with like a sarcastic, like, but hold on, this car didn't exist like 6 months ago. Like, I don't understand. And that was the first kind of, I think, lesson for me in like the game. I like to call it the game. So I tried to buy that, laughed out the door, and it proved immediately that no matter whether you had the money or not, it doesn't matter.
No.
And I don't think I could even afford it. I just wanted one. I wanted my name on the one to get it done. And I waited years after that. Probably 3 or 4 years later, I started looking into my first Cayman, GTS. 718 Cayman GTS, a 4-cylinder car, because that's what was on the market at the time. And I test drove multiple used ones, and some of them were beat, some of them were nice, but the problem was a beat one was still $75,000 or something, still a lot of money. And at that time, I didn't have like a perfect understanding, so I guess I was sort of thinking that I could buy a used car, enjoy it, and then maybe make my way up the chain or up the ladder, as I like to refer to it as. But very shortly after that, I bought the black GTS, which was a great car. I was able to find like a new old stock car that had been sitting for a while. But I did at that time put down a deposit and understood the system a little better. Put down a deposit for a 718 Spider. Non-paint to sample, just a white car, black interior. Of course, I never got a call for it. And I just don't think I understood that you needed to build up your purchase history. Like there's a whole element there that I just wasn't really aware of yet. I had given them the money, and to me that meant that I'm like, well, I'm going to get this
Call
car
me any day, right?
Yeah, and I think sat near the phone for 3 to 6 months, and then just never heard from anybody. So I started to look at it in a slightly different angle, and so this is specific to my case, but I look at it in a different angle. So I started to think, okay, if I buy something, sell it back to them, they're able to make some money on it. They can transact that car again. I might start getting the things I really wanted. And a lot of people ask me specifically about my mint green car, which I recognize is there's not a lot of them around. And I recognize that paint to sample looks sort of like it's a bit of a mystery for a lot of people. And in my case, the math really simply was that I bought a car, sold the dealer a car, ordered the mint green car, waited, bought another car, sold that car back, and then my order came through, or an allocation for the car. That process was almost 2.5 years total. And then from the order date officially with the mint green car, it was, I'm trying to remember exactly, maybe 10 or 11 months before the car actually got here by the time I signed the paperwork. But I think what I'm getting at more is that there's a bunch of elements here. You might find your particular experience varies, but mine was buy one, sell it back, buy another, sell it back, and then in the middle of that, place your order for something you really want. And I want to credit my sales rep, who was a real fighter for me. She went to bat and got that car worked out, because I don't think they sold a lot of 718s in paint to sample. I just don't think it's not an everyday order. I believe that my car was the only paint to sample car that came through the dealer in the 718 GT4 program.
Yeah.
There wasn't any other ones, because they only got a small number of cars. So anyway, I'm proud to have it. However, there's a whole game here. That's my experience. I'm open to listening to anybody else's.
So,
Sean?
Yeah.
I think there's a couple caveats here. One is that in Canada, for those listening outside of, and I'm not actually sure if this applies to all provinces or just Ontario, but dealerships are not allowed to sell a car above MSRP. So that is a strange concept to our US friends, because ADM, or adjusted market value.
What's it called? No, additional dealer markup.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
What are you, John Travolta, trying to say someone's name at the on
I was
Grammys?
just thinking about the acronym as I said. I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't. So, as Ryan said, it's called additional dealer markup. And so the game there, I think, is that mostly, who's the highest bidder? You want to pay 40, 50, 25, depending on the car. A certain amount of ADM will get you the allocation. Here, because they can't do that, to Ryan's point, I think that at least for the past maybe 10 years, certainly through COVID, you had to have some sort of rapport or relationship with someone, or have made them some money or had a couple cars or something. So that actually wasn't my direct experience, because I didn't have a car to trade. Mm-hmm. I didn't have a car prior to that. Mm-hmm. I did go to around the time that actually Ryan was trading his car or shopping. I was interested in one and was talking about buying it. That didn't happen. I then sort of just had the idea, like, not even really, I had the ambition, but didn't really have a plan to buy one. I said, like, is it even possible? Like, how would I go about this? And they basically said politely, I don't even want your money. Like, you don't even bother putting in a deposit because you just won't get one. Like, we don't get that many allocations. It was a bit of a mystery at that time. There was delays with COVID. There was all these supply chain problems. They just said, like, you're not going to get a car. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay. And then a friend of mine that I work with was acquaintances with and went to school, old school buddies, university buddies or something, with the gentleman who's the director at Porsche North Toronto. And he also knew the sales manager there. So I don't know how this came up, but I said, well, would you just introduce me? Like, can we go down there one day? It's right down the street from the office. And so we did that. And I met Scott and Graham, was the guy's name. And they were both lovely. They just said, what would you get? What color would it be? And I said, well, I haven't really decided. And they basically said, you might get one in 12 months. You might get one in 24 months. You might never get one. And this was in September, October of 22, I believe. Mm-hmm. And then some time goes by. Interest rates started to rise. And I started to get impatient around the summer of 23. I remember calling and being like, and they don't give you a lot of details, right? Like, they're not like, oh, you're next in line, or these are coming through a month. It's a very...
No, I don't think they have that information.
No.
I mean, no one on the ground at the store would know.
No.
That's the problem.
And so, coincident or not, or irony or not, or whatever, I had called and said, look, I found, and Ryan, you'll remember this because I sent it to you. I found this dark blue metallic, came in GTS 981, 6-speed leather. It was basically all of the things I wanted. It had a few cosmetic things. And I was seriously thinking about buying the car. And I called them and I said, look, any sort of color you can give me on like where I'm at in this whole thing. Because like, there's this great car here. If I'm going to be like another year or two or never going to get one, like I'm just going to pull the trigger on this. And they said, well, yeah, I'll see what we can do and get back to you. And then I think at that time they said you're like 7th or 8th in line.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what that meant in terms of timelines. Mm-hmm. And then literally like a month later, and whether or not they were worried they're going to lose a customer or other people bailed, which I think is part of it. Mm-hmm. I got a call and said, hey, we have an allocation. And then to your point, I think that was in July, the car showed up in London right before Christmas, December.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to go to the dealership,
build a relationship, let them know who you are.
Meet people, shake hands, show them face, show you're enthusiastic. Maybe you have some, you know what I mean? Like emails, calling on the phone maybe doesn't have the same. Now again, today, I think the world has changed significantly. Yeah. It may be a different experience, but that was our sort of general.
I think that's an important point, Sean. I missed that. I really do feel like if you don't have a relationship with them, it doesn't matter. You gotta get to know these people. Yeah. You gotta build that rapport so that they sort of know you're not going to be the guy. Because I think there was a large amount of time for years where you could get an allocation for something. It was effectively like the dealer writing you a check for $50,000, right? You could flip it tomorrow and make money.
Correct. Yeah.
You'd get burned if you did it. If you took the easy money, you're out. Right? Yeah, you're out.
Yeah. One shot.
Yeah. I specific to my case, I think the way I'm looking back now, my car was ordered as a white car originally, and maybe 6 months into the waiting process, I just approached the dealer and said, hey, I wouldn't mind if we could try for a paint to sample slot. And to get really down in the weeds about it, I think they only build paint to sample cars at certain times a year and certain run. So I just said, hey, if you could do it, I'll take it. I have to be honest, I didn't think it would actually come through, and I was going to be perfectly happy to buy a white one.
Sure.
And then at some point, I think there's the right window of time lined up. But because of it, I've heard these horror stories where someone goes, hey, I got a car allocation and I need to pick a color in like a day.
Yes.
Like I've heard those horror stories.
Or less.
Yeah, or less. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But in my case, I had maybe, I'm going to say I had about a month. So I chronicled this in that little article. But at the same time, I built we were talking about Excel nerds earlier. I built an Excel spreadsheet and a bracket of my top 16 colors and just started knocking them down. So Amanda and I sat in front of the TV and went through Google Images and blah, 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 and eventually got to the point where we had it down to 4. Yeah. Right? But I have to be fair here. It was a very nerve-wracking decision. And if I had to do it in a day or less, I don't know. But maybe that's why you find a lot of these people buy these cars and then just quickly get out. Because maybe they're like, and I often wondered this, when you're speccing something that's like so personalized, if you make a rush decision or you thought it out and then when it became materialized and it was a real thing and you didn't like it, One can only imagine how painful that is.
Tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, exactly. I can't imagine how bad that must feel, because sometimes you see them and you're like, what were they thinking here? You know?
Mine in particular, I mean, I'd built it and configured it a million times and it didn't change. I knew what it was going to be. And the only thing I actually changed on it was, I think I ended up going to 18. Well, I know I went to 18 ways, but at one point I was going to spec the different seats thinking they were.
The base seats, you mean?
No, like the 14 ways, thinking they were more comfortable.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Really glad I didn't do that.
Okay.
That was the only change that I made, and it was like a last minute thing, and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think, like you said, I think a relationship's important. You got to prove who you are. Make sure they know you're not out to flip a car.
Yep.
There's a lot of levels to that. Like, I was going to everything, talking to everybody, building the relationship. I consider that a professional part of, like, you need to do that. You need to make sure they know that they're selling you something special, and you're not going to immediately turn around and cash out.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know. It worked out for me. I get a lot of people ask me this question. I don't really know what else to say about it. I think my sales rep takes a lot of I think she deserves a lot of the credit there. She probably fought for us hard. And I have this feeling that there's like a board meeting where everyone in the sales and then in the department gets together, and the boss goes, "Hey, here's a build slot," and everyone has to fight out. It's literally like a literal.
Looks like the Last Supper, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to duke it out, and I have this feeling that Christina, my sales rep, really went to bat, and I really appreciate that, because I have this really special car that I don't intend on selling for the moment.
Yeah.
That being said, I'd love to buy a new car, but to be honest, Porsche's got so expensive that they're becoming a bit out of reach. They're so expensive now.
It's hard to desire one right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard.
A little bit.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. It's something to think about. People always ask us about this. I don't really know. I wish I could provide more guidance, but it's not. It's sort of organic. It's not like there is no system that's the same for everybody.
No. And if anybody listening is trying now or has had a different experience recently, like, again, I don't know this, but I suspect for an expensive car, which maybe the uptake is a little bit slower on right now, I think you could probably walk into a dealership and make your case and probably get a car. So if people have different experiences, let us know.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think you may find that today for sure. I think if you want to buy a Macan, you might get a deal.
Oh yeah,
you might get a good deal.
Correct.
I'm not saying they're not going to hose you when you go to return it, though. Like, I get that. They might, the market's trending downhill on these entry-level vehicles. It hurts. Anyway, Dylan, you want to drop something in here?
I just took a couple points here. Just as somebody who's not in this game at all and doesn't look like I'm going to be soon. I'm just not, I don't know. I don't really care that much to do this whole dance.
You don't want to signal yellow?
No, I'm just not sure this dance is for me.
Okay, it's a thing for sure.
It does. It's a lot of commitment to get there to buy something.
Yeah.
But I took a few points here, just trying to see from the other side, see if that person that walks in 5 years ago doesn't know the game.
Yeah, like me, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, 2015, but it's 10 years ago, but people don't
think
forget.
about it. Like, the theory of walking into somewhere that they sell something every day for, and you can't buy it.
On its face, it is extremely insulting. You're right.
It is weird.
Yeah.
It is. I appreciate the game. I get it.
Yeah.
I don't knock anybody for it, because it does hold that provenance.
Yeah. Honestly, Dylan, I can't count the amount of people that have way more money than me that ask me how I got the car.
Yeah,
and they have a struggle to understand. Yeah. And I'm like, the money doesn't do anything. It does nothing here.
No.
Well, there's two items too, right? Like the allocation to buy a car and then PTS.
Yeah, there's multi-levels.
Completely different.
Yeah.
Like, those are not even remotely in the same.
No.
One thing I'll just add a little anecdote. You mentioned, basically to get the next car, or the GT4 that you wanted to buy in 2015, 16, they had bought it 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
At the time that I was looking at the car, so that was in 2022, or thinking about putting down a deposit, there was I remember that because it was quite a unique spec. It was an ultraviolet Spider.
Ooh, wow.
With the classic interior, so black and red.
Wow.
And it was honestly a little strange.
Oh, I remember this car.
Yeah.
It went to the Cobble Beach Concours.
Correct.
Yeah,
That's
I remember
right.
that car. Yeah.
And I said to the guys, like, not a bad price. I said, because it was a little bit discounted maybe to market. And he's like, well, it's a an acquired taste.
Yeah.
And then he sort of divulged. He said, well, the owner of this car actually traded it in on a car that didn't even exist yet. He was hearing and thinking a Spider RS was coming. And
so that was years ago. I remember the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 2022, I don't think the Spider S came out properly until 24.
Yeah, sounds right. Yeah.
So, I mean, 2 years ahead, he had given his car up and said, well, just put me on the list for a Spider S, and presumably got one. But that's
part of the game.
Yep.
And I have to comment on that. I'll let you wrap up. Sorry, Dylan, but I mean, that does actually bring a point back to me. When I had my Spider, the GT Silver Spider, I painfully let go of the car in the middle of the summer early.
Right. Because
my GT4 was not going to arrive till Christmas. And I knew that we were going to cut off our summer, but I gave it up early because the market for convertibles is peak in August and September. And I just called the dealer and said, hey, if I want to give it to you now. And they couldn't have, they were like, this is great. Like, we'll take it instantly. Let us know. Because they knew they were going to get more money.
Yeah.
In exchange, I also got paid more. So, I get that. There's a whole game there. But I probably could have driven it I could have drove it right till the end of October.
Sure, yeah.
It was really hard. That end of that summer was tough. It helped
hill.
that we went on holiday the day I dropped it off. I felt better.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So if you're heading into this day one, you're like, I don't care what one you want to pick, but let's go. You want to, I don't know, Cayman GT4. Let's just go with that.
Nice car.
Your day one purchase is what?
It has to be. I think there's only a few really gateway drugs for that. You mean from Porsche specifically?
Yeah. You're wanting a higher end allocation.
I think you could buy. I mean, let's be honest. I think you could probably buy a Cayman S, and you would get into the pipeline. I'm looking back 4 years because you can't buy this car now.
Right.
But you probably could have bought a Cayman S or 5 years ago. But I would have said from now on, it's probably the GTS. From that point forward, it likely migrated to becoming. You need to buy a GTS to make that next step.
And you think so? You're holding that S for a year.
Maybe it could be 6
GTS
months. Yeah. And remember, I ordered my GT4 before I even bought the second car. Like I'd put the order in.
Yeah.
So there was a long gap there.
We do hear a lot of that. Right?
Yeah.
A lot of putting deposits down 3-4 years.
Yeah. And I just think back to that dude telling me that, you don't get it. And I was like, no, you don't get it. That car didn't exist. I don't understand what you're talking about. But he kept on going to all the VIPs. And I was like, hold on, it's a Cayman. I don't understand. Why aren't the VIPs wanting to buy a GT3? I don't get it. I thought this was the affordable.
Yeah.
Well, they took them all so they could flip them and make the money.
Yeah. And I think was it the first car that really hit the flip market?
That's probably
the one?
true.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
That started that real. Anyway, I would have said you'd do that. And you will. I don't want to sound insensitive. Because it's not officially a GT product. There's a potential for a bath.
Oh, for sure.
But it's expected. I think you're like, hey, you want to enter the ladder? Do you got to put your first step on the rung? This is the way to do it. I think because I did get my first GTS lost for sure, but I enjoyed every minute of it owning it. I'm not complaining. There was just a cost. Mm-hmm. The math eludes me, but I'm going to say it was around $10,000 hit.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And you probably did better than most because.
Well, you bought it in pretty good time period.
Yeah, I bought it at a good time. I bought it before things went nuts.
Yeah, and
it was new old stock. They couldn't shift it.
They couldn't move those cars.
Yeah,
I mean, nobody, and not a slight against your car, but
No.
You got a good deal up front, so you didn't take as big of a bath, I think.
No, that's what I mean. So that bath probably would have been double.
Yeah.
It's hard to say that exactly. But I remember specifically, I was buying that black 4-cylinder car, and the 4-liter cars were in the basement already.
Yeah.
They were rolling in, and I knew the guy was like, they have a problem. They have to get rid of the 4-cylinder GTS.
Yeah.
They have to.
Yeah.
And I didn't even bargain. The guy just made me an offer, and I was like, great, I'll take it. I love the car. I don't care. I'm 4-cylinder. I'm a Subaru guy, man. I'll take a turbo flat 4 any day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have said that's your entry point, probably. To be fair, I think one of the problems we have is Porsche sort of eroding the entry level product. It's eroding. So how do you get in now?
When the entry level is pushing 200.
That's it, exactly. We'll dive into that later.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, but I think that's my gut would tell me you'd buy a GTS. I think if Sean wanted to move up to a GT car in the Cayman range, he's in the perfect position to do it because he has the car they want as a trade back, which is a Boxer GTS 4-liter. Mm-hmm. They would happily take that back. You'll lose some, but it is what it is.
Yeah. I don't have the money to go upwards, so
I get it. Yeah,
we're right where we are.
Yeah, no, I get it. You're good. Yeah. In my specific case, I was lucky, right? I sold that convertible. It was we're talking 2022. COVID,
you were climbing.
Prices were, quote, no pun intended. They were turbocharged. They were crazy, and at the same time, I gave it up in peak time, so I knew I stood to profit from that, and that helped me jump that next step. Mm-hmm. And I got to be fair here, fellas, and to be right up front with all the listeners. We've had this discussion 20 times. I can't bridge the Delta to the GT3. It's too far.
It's a long gap.
It's because it's become. I have a $160,000 car. The GT3 is a $350,000 car. I'm like, that gap is just too big. I can't. That jump
wild.
is ridiculous. Even 2 years ago, it was a big jump. Now it's way worse.
Yeah.
You know. So if I was in your position and you wanted a GT car, I would be looking for a slightly used one because there's obviously quite a few of them around.
Yeah, they're starting to definitely.
Yeah, because those people are likely trading them for RS.
Yeah, they got to play the game still too.
Exactly. Yeah, and what you do find is occasionally you'll find a good one where the person's playing the game.
Yeah.
Right. You can just take it over.
Yeah. I just don't. I'm just not that eager for new ones.
Yeah, I get it.
Either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Obviously, money's a very big object.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
It doesn't entice me enough.
I'm with you now. I mean, it's completely changed. There's a couple of things in the range, but overall,
Yeah.
I don't desire them. Like, I mean, I sort of obsessed over for a long time,
Yeah.
and now it's kind of like, well, those are nice cars, but wouldn't shell out the money even if I could. I don't think for a lot of them.
I'm in a bit of a weird position. I would actually probably consider going backwards to, if I could buy it, I would happily buy a brand new GTS Cayman, like a 4-liter car with a paint to sample. If I could get it with a paint to sample slot, they can't do it right now.
Right.
But I would happily have one to be able to customize more of a street car. And I would probably try to have it alongside the Mint car. I don't think I could let go of the Mint car, but the GTS is still within. It's not a $200,000 car. If I low spec the car with a paint to sample, we're looking at maybe 120, right? Like I feel better about having two cars than having one.
Do the paint to samples change price for?
Oh yeah,
for the models though, like between 911 and Cayman.
Yep. So I think when I did paint to sample on my car, it was around $14,000. I think on GT3 RS today, it's like $26,000.
Yeah.
I might be wrong, $24,000.
That's
a lot of money.
Yeah, it's like
that is.
It's a percentage of, or kind of. The more money the car is MSRP, the higher cost.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know their internal math. I have no idea. But all I can tell you is it does feel like it's got a little crazy.
You wouldn't turn down if somebody offered it to you.
No. Unless at 25,000, yes, for sure. Because I don't care about having a GT3 RS. Like, it's a great car, but I don't care about that. I want a street car in a fun color.
Yeah.
And I would be really happy to have I'm gonna steal this from Dylan. I'd be very happy to have a signal yellow Cayman GTS 4-liter. I'd be really happy to have that in the garage. Thank you.
Yeah.
I would even let you ride in it.
Yeah. But it does have to have a Cohiba.
You can't spec it on the GTS anymore. They've really trimmed down what's left on those cars because they supply chain. I'm sure they just said we're not selling any Luxor beige. Get rid of it.
Yeah, just buy this Cayman R. It's speed yellow, but it's close enough.
No, I'm just using it as an example. I'd have a British Racing green one. I don't care. I'd pick I'd love to have one of those. As more like hey, we're jumping in the car that's. It's a dangerous opinion.
Yeah.
GT cars are like alive all the time, right? The steering's twitchy. The car's 3 inches off the ground. Having owned a Cayman GTS, it can be alive if you want it to be, but you don't have to. Like, it's a very pleasant, normal vehicle. I'd be really happy to have one alongside mine.
Lovely cars. I'm always surprised at how compliant
mine can be. They ride so nice.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm not a complaint. I love my car, but the reality is for every day, it's it's a race car.
It's harsh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta have a young man's body.
Yeah, well, yeah. I seem to be going the other direction. The other problem you've got now is I think you can't buy. Well, I know you can't buy paint to sample 718 program at all.
Yeah, that
because they moved the 718 production to Osnabrück, which is a Volkswagen plant that isn't set up to run the full spectrum. Unfortunately, There is an article I shared here recently that they're moving it back. But what that doesn't say is whether they're going to build the electric version or it's going to be the gas version. But I'm reading between the lines.
We're hoping
they're spending $830 million to retool for gas production on some of this stuff. So,
which only makes sense from all the numbers that are coming out.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mike, it's something to think about.
I don't have a lot to add.
He's been auditing.
I haven't, just been listening.
Did you get because you traded your 40th on the T? Did you? I mean, you weren't really caught up in this. You just made him an offer, and they.
So I'll start with. Like you guys said, it's all relationship based. So when I wanted to buy my first Porsche, I looked at, like you guys, used stuff, and they were beat, and you didn't know what you're getting into. And I wanted a 996 or 997, and I wanted something without any IMS issues, whatever. So I'm like, hey, what's the next best thing? Call the Porsche dealer, see what they have.
Sure.
They basically shut me right down. Like, you want what?
Oh, we don't deal with that.
We don't deal with that, right?
Yeah.
So,
sorry, there's not enough ones in front of it.
And basically they said, if you don't own a Porsche, don't bother coming here. So
really,
basically, yeah.
Wow.
Until I drove by and said, "Hey, there's one on your lot. Like, what's with this one? Oh, it's for sale." I'm like, Oh, okay. Can I buy it? And it was a 20-year-old car at the time.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, I think the only thing that actually saved me, this goes back to relationships, once we got talking with the salesperson, they realized that they had worked with my wife at one point. So that kind of grew our relationship from there. Right? And then, a year or two, cars and coffees, hanging out to all the events.
Yep.
And then I had showed interest in a new Carrera T paint to sample. They're like, hey, would you like an allocation? So I put my deposit down. In the meantime, I had bought my 991.2 T.
Right.
And
Which is such a great car. Let's just insert there.
yeah, so
many people want those.
So happy with it. But then,
Sweet. I love the buckets.
Like we talked about, I got the call at 11 o'clock one day. Said, hey, your allocation's up. You need to have your order in by 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Come on, really?
Yeah. I'm like, I can't do that.
Not happening.
Like, no. So I let it go. And like Dylan, now I'm out. I just like, no.
That was a paint to sample slot too, right?
It was.
Yeah. But it's really short notice. Like, it's not easy.
Too quick. I'm like, I can't pick.
Did you have an idea you were going to
I
possibly
wanted
get the call?
turquoise.
He wanted turquoise blue.
I wanted turquoise blue. I didn't know. They said about a year, and this happened within 3-4 months. I
Yeah,
think.
it was quick. Yeah.
Oh,
It
so you
was
hadn't
quick. I hadn't decided.
Sure,
fully,
you had an
right?
idea.
And then it was
Yeah.
like, oh, you need to know this today. I'm like, yeah, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I was really happy with my GT Silver car.
Right.
too.
Which
Yeah.
you probably only had for a few months at that time.
Yeah, exactly. So
Tell us
wasn't very
about
long.
your 991.2 because the people ask about that car all the time. So many people message me being like, "Hey, your buddy's got a Carrera T."
Yeah.
Because they're hard to come by.
I love it. And,
Super modest spec. too.
and
Like,
I wasn't
awesome.
I wasn't
I
really
know.
looking other than the new allocation. I'm
Right.
like, yeah, cool. It's gonna be blue, whatever.
Yeah.
Ryan sent me this link one day. Said, hey, we should go look at this.
That was me?
That was you.
Oh God.
Enabler.
Sorry, I
But
didn't mean to
thanks.
cost you any money.
Enabler.
It's so easy to spend other people's money.
Yeah, right.
It's easier.
And him and I met at Oakville, and we drove it. And I'm like, yeah, we got to have this thing. And I'm so glad I did because it's perfect. I'll probably have it forever.
It's a
I
lovely
love that car.
Yeah.
Tell us, the spec on the car has options wise, the wheels are the option, right?
Yeah.
Because it
Wheels
doesn't
are
have
optional.
what's the standard GTS wheels called? A Carrera.
It's a Carrera S wheel.
Yeah, it doesn't
Carrera-
have that,
no.
but it has the
Like the Fuchs style.
yeah. What
wheel.
are they called? Carrera Sport wheel.
Sport something, yep.
Yeah,
Sport,
we should
yeah.
post a photo of your car.
Yeah, can do.
And then yeah,
And the interior.
yeah,
Yeah. Buckets, fire extinguisher. That's it. I think.
CarPlay probably because it was an option.
Has
Yeah,
back
it's
then.
got
Has
CarPlay.
CarPlay.
So it was an
Was it?
option
Yeah,
back
yeah.
then. $350
Was
bucks.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's true. That's true.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
it's a comfy
I love
car to
your
ride
car
in.
for that reason.
Yeah.
It's like perfect. No rear seats.
It's
like
no
nothing.
rear seats. No. It's a driver's car. I
Yeah.
love it for that.
Yeah. I also love it. It's such a good spec. It's so clean, so classy. And I think when you bought it, was it a one owner? Before?
One owner,
But low miles.
Yeah, 4,800 kilometers when I bought it.
Yeah, and like how many
And
years
that
old
was
is that? Like 4?
That was big 4 or 5 years old at that point. Four.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What do I have on now? 10, 11 maybe?
So many people ask me about his car. I literally get DMs like, "Have you ever driven that?" And I'm like, "Yes, I have." It's a desirable car today.
Yeah. And I'm happy with the
is.
power. Like it's only 370 horsepower.
That's a
something
lot.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm happy for now. If I wanted to put a tune on it, you
Sure.
can get them over 500 quite easily.
Yeah.
Mike and I are gonna. I haven't told him this, but we're gonna swap cars in October for an afternoon. And,
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
that sounds
yeah,
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
now he knows.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah.
I drove it. It's awesome, and because it's one of those. It's got. I don't know. Are they twin turbo? from
Twin
that?
turbo,
Like
yeah.
there's just torque like everywhere.
All
Yeah,
the
it
way.
doesn't matter. It's just there all the time.
And
yeah.
it just sounds so good inside the car.
Oh
too.
yeah, because he
It
doesn't
does.
have rear seats.
No.
Oh, it's
You
just like a
really
big
feel
Yeah.
the.
reverberation box.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
drove a
Big
Dakar one
downshifts.
time like that, and you really felt every sound, every little whistle, everything through the firewall. Well, I'm calling it firewall, I guess, behind the rear seats.
Same idea.
Yeah,
You should drive my Cayenne.
I love that thing. She's a big.
You hear everything.
Yeah.
I did drive it. It's awesome. Don't-
So what Porsche are we going to talk about next? We've sufficiently alienated the non-Porsche people. Are we going to move on to another
Well,
Porsche
we could
topic?
talk about the new T since we're
I think it's a
there.
good idea that
Could
we
do.
connect that.
Yeah.
Who wants to start? It's a controversial subject. Who wants to go first?
I think the owner of a current T should.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
good
opine on this.
idea.
Yeah, I don't know. Like when it first loaded, I'm like, oh, this thing's kind of cool. Another manual transmission Porsche.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
love it.
Can share that opinion.
Not too
Yeah,
many
no
of those
doubt.
out there. Non-hybrid like that.
Yeah.
Another driver's car. And then they start rolling out, and I'm like, oh, God, those wheels suck. They suck.
So you said that about all the new models?
Yeah, well, yeah. Right.
But see, but I think that's the base wheel on all the new models, but you can opt out of those wheels on S and
Right.
Mm-hmm. I would hope so.
But on T, they force you into that.
They force a lot of things on you.
Yeah, I don't like that. Yeah.
And I'm a fan of the wood knob. I know, Ryan, you hate it.
No, I don't hate it, but I'm just like, I don't want to be forced on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of like it, but...
So what's the T running at MSRP?
165 Canadian to start?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Something like that?
So I briefly went on because I had kind of prompted this a little bit this morning, I think, because Johnny Lieberman had posted a picture. I think he has a press car right now. It's the launch spec. It's white with the blue accent on the hood, blue accent down the side, blue wheels, which is not for me. Chintzy sort of looking blue interior plastics painted. He did a close-up of the shift knob, which my comment was it looked like a 6-year-old had painted it. It really does look a bit budget. And then I don't know for sure, but there's two, so you can get a full leather upgraded interior with the sort of GTI plaid seats, I would call them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then, but there's a base one. I think this was the base one. And I've seen a Dot 2 in the local showroom that didn't have like the upgraded interior. And I got to tell you, it looks like the leather in my Volkswagen Atlas. Like it's not, and that's probably not even real leather. I don't even know.
I don't know either.
So it really does look like they've cut some costs, significant costs. And overall, so I built one, base interior, 4 ways, put bows in it. And that it was a $2,500 option to put the sticker pack and the blue wheels and the whole thing.
Okay.
It was $175 plus tax.
Okay, but that's not a lot of options, really. When you listen to that, it's not much.
No,
it's
nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
$2,500 in options.
No.
Like on the stickers and stuff.
Yeah, just that stuff. Yeah.
I think in total the options would have been 5-ish grand.
Okay. Yeah.
That's not much.
No. Now, the one thing we should remember is Porsche's famous for launching a car, and then 6 months later, even before the next model year, like they'll introduce more options. They configure updates, and there's 2 new wheel choices and things like this has happened in the past. But right now, one of the big problems with the entire range, in my opinion, like maybe this isn't everyone's opinion, but wheels have like the most dramatic, most impactful result on the overall aesthetic of a car. And like if I think about what they've done in the past, like Porsche has like probably the best in the game in terms of like if you think about the Cup 1s, Cup 2s, all of the GT3 wheels, the Spider wheels that are on my car, the Spider wheels are on 718, like they're all great looking wheels. Even like Macans of old or Cayennes all had great looking wheels. Across the range right now, another one like Taycan, when they first came out, those wheels that had like holes cut in them looked like Swiss cheese. Fantastic. Now they all stink and it ruins the look of the car.
Well, that was a hot take, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, I'm not enthused on it at all, as you can tell.
No, I think we've lost the plot on wheels. Honestly, I don't get it at all.
Yeah.
But I'm sure at some corporate boardroom in the middle of the Zuffenhausen operation, there's 10 guys sitting in a room going, hey, we got to get the fleet average down, and we got to build this ICE car, and we need to get fleet average consumption down, so let's put on the Uber Aero disc wheel as the only option on the car.
Maybe that's true.
Don't bring disc wheels down.
No, but they're just so bad. They're so bad.
Real Aero discs are beautiful.
Those. Yeah, me too. I like those. This is like they've added like an extra inch of wheel.
Yeah, I know.
I just think it's
goofy.
just weird. In black, to be honest, I've seen it in person. Doesn't offend me as much because I can't see it.
They kind of disappear.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And what offends me most about Carrera T, which I spent a great deal of time on the configurator, is you can't option anything. They're like, oh, sorry. The 2 options are the leather interior or the Volkswagen GTI parts bin seat, which looks so cheap in this 911. It bothers me. And you can't combine the leather on the dash with the bucket seats. There's all these sort of weird limitations that they're trying to kind of, I'm guessing they're trying to streamline production for this car to kind of more mainstream it down the run. And then I just find the whole thing frustrating. And the wheel packages, like if I could paint the wheel black,
or even silver,
or bright silver, I'm okay. I'll get over it, and then I would just change the wheels. But the blue, that blue thing, I'm like, what are you doing? I don't understand that. Who signed off on that? It's weird.
Yeah.
You shared, I think it was you, shared today an Oratium Green 992.1 Carrera T. And you know what I miss the most about the Carrera T is the gray. Like, why can't I have the gray wheel that's not
Gray
that weird?
mirrors.
Like, I want all that. I don't want, and I, like, why isn't that just the only option? Why did you remove, because it's still there, I think, but they want to force you down this blue path. And I'm like, what is this? It's weird.
Yes, you can get the stripes in the new one, to your point, in a different shade other than blue.
Okay, so maybe I missed it. Yeah,
I don't think it's titanium gray or whatever it's called.
It's vanadium gray, and it's not. The problem is it's not a gray that I actually like that much. It's a more bluey gray.
Yeah.
I don't know. The whole thing's weird. I have to insert something positive. The one thing I love the most is that if you option the bucket seat, it is the current gen bucket seat.
Oh, the
992.1. Yeah, it's the one that actually has the 918 Spider lineage.
Okay.
It's that bucket seat, which feels a little bit like, all right, we've got a lot of these carcasses left over. Let's get rid of them. But I got to be honest, that doesn't. That's okay. I'm good with that. Yeah. I think that's a better looking seat. Yeah. So I'm ready. Like but I can't. I remember this. I cannot combine the leather with the bucket seats. I can't have leather on the dash and leather on the trim. I can't have any of that with bucket seats. Which is fine to me in your generation because it doesn't feel parts bin.
Yeah.
Now you look at the new one and you're like, no, everything looks pretty GTI, and I don't want that. I want there to be a finer look to it.
Mm-hmm. And I did confirm. I think you asked us a couple of weeks ago. You can't order it in PDK. It is manual only.
Correct.
You
manual only.
Yeah.
And I say this in all honesty. I actually looked at this car closely because I thought, well, hey, from the GT4, that's a logical step. Like you could buy that, I would spec it up, paint to sample, and I would do what you want with it. I can't build one that actually works that I'm like, I'd be happy having that. And my metric is that I have to be happy when it rolls off the truck. I don't want to have to buy a car that immediately I'm like, okay, I'm changing the wheels. I'm changing this. Sure. Don't look at it right now, but look at it in 2 weeks. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, it would suck to buy a new car like that.
Well, that's it, but there's people doing it. And I think of the guy, what's his name? Eric from Supreme Power, the guy who sells BBS wheels.
Yeah.
He bought that Signal Yellow T. And it's hilarious because like he put those insane wheels on it. The car looks amazing, but it looked really, really good before.
Yep.
You can't say that about the new one, and that offends me. I just don't get it. You can start to feel the Volkswagen production line. I feel it looking at the car. That said, as your comment, Mike, it's the only manual 911 you can get outside of a GT3 now.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's a big deal.
And the S
so
is
they'll
out,
sell lots.
Yeah.
Supposedly the S is going to show up in a manual, but not show up, but be offered. But
sure.
I'm unclear on that.
Not yet.
Yeah. And because you eliminate GTS now, with your hybrid PDK drive,
right?
I don't know. I'm torn on Carrera T. It has so much potential.
Yeah.
But don't give me the parts bin Volkswagen seating surface from a 2010 Golf. Like I don't want anything to do with that.
Let's hold out hope, and maybe in a year's time they will. As they do, update offerings. They'll change some things, and maybe they'll take some customer feedback. But if you're listening, Volkswagen Canada, you can push this out to the mothership. You got to get a new wheel designer.
Ooh, they're just awful.
Oh. Yeah.
And there are 4 options, and they're all bad. I looked.
Yeah. Oh, they're
There's
miserable.
no way to
they're
win.
all brutal.
I was hoping you could just buy those like 5-spoke, like the standard, the ones you can order on every other 911. I don't know. Just order that. I'm good. They look so much better. Personally, too, my opinion on T, on your generation, Mike, the 991.2, the best part about it was you could option GT car stuff.
Yeah.
You want the PCCBs from a GT3?
Yeah, have them.
No problem.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Porsche's removed all of that. This feels like the car they're trying to really, I'm using this word again, but it feels like they're really trying to streamline it down to like a limited palette of options. And I would be happy with that car with the right wheel and a PCCB package. Like, awesome.
And
you can't
nice
have it.
interior.
Then you're over $200,000 again.
Yeah, but you're getting the the lowest price manual 911, and I'm okay with all of that.
Your next one up is like almost 300.
Yeah, it's a big step.
That's where I'm out. Just buy a used one.
And then the important thing is, it's 300 as a start. It's not 300 like. Because don't forget, we've got this stupid luxury tax in this country, which doesn't make any sense to me.
$200,000 of that is luxury tax.
Yeah. What is the luxury tax? Is it 20% of every dollar over 100,000?
Yeah,
that's right.
You got it.
Or 10% on the entire MSRP, whichever is less.
That's how it works. I can't remember. Okay.
Less,
yeah. The bottom line is the whole thing is a complete farce. I don't understand it at all.
Yeah.
I'm convinced it doesn't affect the rich. I get that. But anyone who sort of aspires to have this product, I'm like, hold on, now you got to get ready to spend an extra $26,000 on your...
For nothing.
Like, you're throwing that money away. You must
Like,
burn
literally
it on.
for
Just
nothing.
light it on fire.
That's exactly
Crazy.
what you do. Pay tax on the tax and then...
And then get taxed on the whole thing.
Yeah. And also the money you paid was taxed already too.
Yeah,
So
exactly. The whole thing is silliness.
It's very silly.
I don't know. That said, I'm going to put a little time into building a Carrera T on the configurator, and I'll send you a picture of it, Mike. You can add it to the post.
Do. Show us your paint to sample choice.
I haven't built one yet.
Yeah.
I'll build
It's
one.
hard because
No, I mean,
you got to find something that fits with blue. And like, oh, sorry, I need to fit this or that weird gray, which has sort of a blue in it. You have to be careful. That vanadium gray it
does
has
have a
blue
bit
in
of
it.
blue, yeah.
And you can't pick a yellow anymore because it's going to roll off the truck, and people are going to be like, "What happened here?"
Photoshop some old wheels on it. Show us
No,
how
I'm
good
not.
it
I'm
could
not.
look.
No. I have no skills that way. Zero. It's just going to look like someone hand drew on a wheel.
You have friends.
Just like cut and paste out of the
Yeah.
magazine.
Yeah, it's not going to look good. Yeah. Anyway, I think the one thing I have to say is the 991.2 just looks every day
Yeah, better and better.
the better.
No
It's
doubt.
there's not even a comparison anymore.
Absolutely.
That being said, the 992 you shared us today, the first Gen 1 in Elysium.
Nice
It's a
looking
really
car.
good looking car.
Good looking.
It really was. Yeah, well spec'd. Guy had good taste. And it sounded like he paid a lot for that luxury too.
Well, based on his asking price, I think he's trying to,
Yeah. What was it?
175 US?
USD. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nasty. Anyway, this has been a Porsche heavy episode.
Are we at time?
Yeah,
Feels like we might be.
I'd say we probably should wrap up. People might get bored.
Yeah.
You know, it's been Porsche heavy, but
Been a lot of P-car.
But that's fitting. 10th episode. It's kind of
we
where
dove
we
in.
started.
We dove in.
Yep.
Yeah.
We kind of bookended it.
And I had a thought, Sean. I passed it to Mike earlier, but for next week's episode, we're going to start a new. What would we call that, Mike? A new feature, weekly feature. It's going to be Hot Takes with Sean. He gets two
like
sentences to
like
drop
Hot
something.
Wings.
Yeah, exactly. He gets 2 sentences to drop something controversial.
Oh,
You don't have to do it today.
Geez, 2 sentences.
Next
That's a
time.
lot.
this is perfect because my
Short sentences.
mother has always said, you never have to wonder what Sean's thinking because he will just tell you.
Yeah, so we're gonna have Hot Takes with Sean. I think I was workshopping it this week.
I can't wait to listen. I'll be on a beach.
Oh yeah, that's right. Dylan's not here. We'll try to get someone to fill in next week. How long are you gone again?
Right.
1 week.
Well, I'll satisfy all those curmudgeons out there because I'm guessing these hot takes won't be very uplifting, but that's okay.
That's okay. We want it. We want controversy,
Yeah,
man.
okay.
Just think of it. You're the Linden Green of GT3s. You know,
Okay.
we
Oh,
want
yeah.
controversy.
I will think about this.
You know?
I'll probably agree with everything you say.
We want to just drop him right at the end of the conversation. We're just gonna throw him in there. He gets 2 sentences. Drop it in. You know,
I like it.
I don't mind the only one who has to do any prep for these things.
there's no prep. You can say whatever
What
you
do you
want.
mean? We didn't even know what we were going to talk about today.
That's true.
The
Anyway,
only thing I do gotta
yeah?
bring up is that Dakar buzz.
Oh,
How cool was that?
He fitted in again. 10 episodes in a row.
Oh, you're doing it, eh? You're really
Come on,
going there.
V-dub.
You're going there.
Come
We'll
on,
post a
V-dub.
picture of that for sure.
It was a
That's-
Porsche dealer who did it, right?
It was.
Yeah.
It
we
was
got to
sick.
share the picture while we all ramble on about it. It was really nice. I agree.
fantastic.
I keep getting. I'm not on Facebook much, but because I don't have access anymore, I've been like booted out for years. But on my phone, I'll get notifications being like, "You might like this group," and it's the Volkswagen Buzz owners group because I'm sure my phone's been listening to everything
Sure,
we've been saying.
of course.
And there's so many interesting buzzes that people have like slammed and made modified. They look
I
amazing.
never thought about that market.
I think it's going to be a big market.
Yeah.
Whether big is a relative term. I don't know how many they're going to sell, but there's gonna be people who really
There's
want
an
one.
enthusiast group that is going to go nuts for these things, I guess. But
Yeah.
we'll share the photo. But
We got some photos to share tonight. We got to write a list.
no doubt. You listen to this back and take notes. Mike.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, stealing Mike's words, like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Instagram. We'll put lots of
YouTube,
YouTube.
Spotify, all
YouTube
of
appears
them.
to be the
Yeah, a lot of
apparently
people-
YouTube overtook Spotify as the podcasting platform officially in the
yeah,
last
it's wild.
couple weeks.
Yeah.
For us or generally speaking?
No, in general.
Us.
General.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
We're going to have to get on the video. Hot takes on the video.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing is I'm gonna have to put clothes on.
Yeah. As summer rolls around, there'll be fewer and fewer.
Yeah,
of those
you're
on,
right.
Yes. You just squint your eyes and look for more skin. You know, it's a thing. Anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll catch up next week. Anything else to drop?
No.
Nothing.
We're out.
Talk to you later.
Good night.
Yeah.